Hello and welcome to another How to Play Piano lesson. We're up to number 23 and today we're going to learn a great old French tune that's again a lot of fun to play, and in the process we're going to continue to incorporate musical character into our playing. Let's get ready to learn and play together. Firstly, check in with your posture. Make sure your back is straight and your neck is long. Your feet are flat on the floor. Your forearms are angled down towards the keys or level with the keys, and you've got lovely relaxed wrist, dome-shaped hands and those strong curved fingers. You're also feeling positive and focused and ready to learn some new skills. Time to warm up. We're going to do a different warm-up today, take a break from scales and look at something called an exercise. Hanon was a great believer in doing lots of exercises to give equal strength to your left and right hands. He wrote books and books and books on the subject. In fact, I think there are 3 books filled with different exercises that you can do. We're going to have a look at the first exercise in that book to help our technical ability. It's quite straightforward. We're going to start on middle C and we're going to go up an octave and end up in this position up at this C. How do we do that? We play our middle C first, skip a note with our index finger and go up to the E, and then play all the notes to our pinky and then back down to our thumb, skip a note, go up to the F with your index finger, all the notes up to your pinky and back down to your thumb, skip a note, go up to G with your index finger, skip a note, Alright, let's try that together, nice and slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now let's go back down again. We'll start at our little finger, skip a note with your 4th finger, go down to the E, and then all the way to your thumb, and then back up to your little finger, skip a note to the D with your 4th finger, then down to your thumb, back to your little finger, skip a note, down to your thumb, back to your little finger, skip, thumb, little finger, skip, thumb, little finger, skip, thumb, skip, thumb. We just end up on our thumb. All right, from the top, let's do one together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip to your thumb, good, and skip down to your thumb, skip down to your thumb, skip, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, that's the right hand. Excellent. So that's another little technique or another little exercise you can add to your warm-ups. You can still do your scales, of course, but maybe pop in a little exercise as well. Have a look in the description below and I'll pop a link to one of the Hanon exercise books, and you can go nuts and do as many exercises as you want to improve your technical ability. Have a pause and have a play. Let's look at today's expressive piece. These were the things that we focused on last time. Your interaction with the keys, your relaxed wrist, engaging your hearing and listening to your piano, moving smoothly between the keys, creating flowing coordinated hand gestures, engaging your imagination to hear the music in your head before it comes pouring out of your fingers, and shaping your phrases to create a character for your music that tells its story and fits in with its style. Let's look today at tempo and how we can go about selecting a tempo that creates the character that we want to create with our music. Here's today's little piece entitled, Which of Us is Clever? Which of us is clever? Which of us is wiser? Little Johnny's clever, but his daddy's wiser. I cannot make head nor tail out of those lyrics, so it's pretty much up to me how I'm going to shape and give character to this piece of music. There are a number of different options. Let's see what other clues we can pick up from the music. We've got moderately, written as our tempo indication at the beginning of the music. It looks like we've got 2 treble clefs again, so both hands are reading up here. We've got an F sharp, and the music begins on G and ends on G, so it looks to me like we're in G major, which is a relatively happy sound. And we've got some gradually louders and gradually softers, which might indicate some phrases within our music. How do we go about creating a character for this piece? Firstly, let's assimilate the notes in the piece. Sight reading this piece very slowly, just to navigate the notes and what my hands are doing. I'm again going to loosen my wrists. In the right hand, it looks like I've got something like that. So I can see that I've got 2 little motifs that are exactly the same. One that's 2 bars long, and then it's repeat the next 2 bars. I've got a gradually louder and a gradually softer. Looks to me like we're building up towards that B note and then a D crescendo. So I'm going to consider that one little phrase, and then it's repeated. Same sort of thing. Now I could do my moderately loud for the first one, and then I could do a moderately soft as an echo. If I wanted to. Let's have a look at what comes next. We're changing to the left hand, so sight reading it very slowly. It looks like we're going down. We've got 2 little motifs that are repeated, each 2 bars long, and a crescendo down to those G's, and then a D crescendo back to those G's. So I'm going to consider that one phrase. In fact, I'll probably consider the first half, the right hand, as one phrase that consists of 2 motifs, and the second part I'll consider as one phrase, again consisting of 2 little motifs. All in all, we've got something like this. Then a little echo. Build up to the B and then down to the G. Then the left hand takes over, crescendo to those G's. And then finishing off quite softly on those G's. So that's how I'm going to interpret this little piece. That's what my piece is going to look like. I've got those phrases, I've considered my dynamic markings, and I've shaped them the way that is comfortable for me. But what about tempo? What does moderately mean? Moderately means different things to different people, and it's more than just a metronome marking. I think the best thing to do is to see where the music takes you, and again, it's all about the character that you want to create for this piece. If you have a look at the words, it could be quite contemplative. It could be somebody putting questions out there about, well, which of us is really clever, in a thoughtful manner, in which case the tempo might be a bit slower. Could be two people having a conversation, having a little bit of an argy-bargy, a little bit of a disagreement about who is the cleverest between Johnny and his dad. In which case, we could make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more argumentative, a little bit more comical. If you wanted to play it that way. It's entirely up to you and the way you interpret this little tune and how you want to go about playing it. Obviously, it's a good idea to stick within the guidelines or within the limits or the boundaries of the tempo marking. You wouldn't necessarily want to play it incredibly slowly, like a lento or an adagio. That might be a little bit too much on the slow side. In the same manner, you wouldn't want to play it as a presto or as an allegro. Again, that might be a little bit too much. But within the context, the broad context of moderately, that's open to a fair bit of interpretation. Decide on the character that you want to create and select a tempo that's going to bring out the character of your music. And again, if this feels like a lento or a sostenuto or something very slow and heavy, or it feels like a presto or allegro, go for it. Nobody's going to come and arrest you. So all in all, having talked you through all of my decisions, my interpretation of this little piece on this particular day, at this particular time, looks something like this. And why did I say at this particular time, this particular day? Because if I play this again tomorrow, it would be a little bit different. And that's the beautiful thing about music. Everybody's interpretation will be different, and each time you play a piece of music, it will be slightly different than the time before. Your turn to have a pause and have a play of this little tune with all the decisions that you've made about phrasing, shaping your phrases, about the dynamics you're going to engage, and about the tempo that you're going to select to bring out the character that you'd like to create for this little piece. Last time we had quite a busy lesson and we looked at musical character and musical form, and we played the song Standing in the Need of Prayer. Have a pause and have a play and see how you go. Here's my interpretation. How did your interpretation compare with mine? Were your chord notes sounding at the same time? Could you hear a level of sound changing as you played gradually louder and gradually softer when you chose? Was the music flowing smoothly along? Did you feel that your performance created the character that you wanted to communicate? Could you play from start to finish at a fairly consistent tempo without stops and starts? If you're not sure about how you're going with this tune or any others that you've been learning, remember you can always send me your audio or video recordings for free coaching and feedback. You can also post a video of your performance onto our How to Play Piano and Keyboard private Facebook gallery. Here's today's song. I'll show you my interpretation, and then as usual we'll go through the music line by line. I'll play it straight first of all, and then I'll put my little spin on it. pretty much as written, putting the dynamics in as they're written on the page and putting a little bit of a slowdown at the end to show that the tune was ending off. But again, sheet music is just a place to start. Your interpretation could also go something like this. Again, that's probably the spin that I would choose to put on it. Increase the tempo a little bit, make it sound a bit jolly, a bit happy, a bit bright, and sounds like things are really moving along to give whoever I'm communicating this piece to a really good emotional high. Let's have a look at the music firstly as a whole. You can see at the start of our piece we've got the treble and bass clefs, right and left hand. We've got no key signature, no sharps and flats, and because we're starting on a C chord, ending on a C chord, this tune is in the key of, yes, you guessed it, C major. We've got a time signature of 4/4, so we're counting 4 beats in a bar. And if you scan through the music, you can see that our melody starts in our right hand, and then it looks as though we've got something happening in both hands with the melody, and then it finishes again in the right hand. We've got the tempo marking brightly, so again we're going to have to put some musical character into this little tune to make it sound quite bright and happy. We've got some dynamic markings, we've got F and P, we've got a gradually louder and a gradually softer as well. We've got some curved lines that might be indicating phrases, or they might be just legato slurs. We'll have a look at that as we move through the music. There are some rests, and we've got some chord symbols above our right hand notes to tell us what chords we're playing in the left hand. You'll also notice that our very first note in this little tune is a different type of note called a dotted crotchet. More about that in a moment. We're going to do something a little bit different this time, and we're going to look at line 1 and 2 as a whole. This is because the musical phrase tends to carry from one line to the next, and rather than break the phrase up in the centre, we'll do the whole phrase first. So we need to look at lines 1 and lines 2. Let's have a look at the right hand. We've got the treble clef, counting 4 beats in a bar, and our thumb is on middle C. But we have to work out how long to hold that middle C for. That note is a dotted crotchet, and if you remember when we looked at our dotted minim, a dot after a note increases its value by half. Now a crotchet note is normally worth 1 beat. If we increase its value by half of that, our dotted crotchet is worth 1.5 beats. So instead of holding our crotchet down for 1 beat, 1 and, we're going to hold it down for 1 and 2 and then change it on the and. I'll show you what I mean. In that whole bar, if we count the ands, we'd be playing it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'll explain that again. Our middle C lasts for the 1 and 2. Our D with our second finger comes on the 2 and. Our E comes on beat 3, and our other E with our third finger comes on beat 4. I think I indicated last time the best way to work out counting is to look at the smallest note that you've got in your music, and the smallest note that we've got is a quaver, and they're worth half beats. So it's best to put all the half beats in, or all the ands, when you're counting out loud. I'll do that first bar again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you have a look at the next bar, we've got D, followed by middle C, D again, and then back to E with our third finger, and then down on middle C for beat 3 and 4 and. With the counting, it would be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and then there's a rest. I'll do bars 1 and 2 again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Good, you have a turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Good, let's do it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. If If we have a look at what comes next, I think it's exactly the same. I'll have a play through and we'll see. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Very good, so we've already done that part. Let's play the first 4 bars together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 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 and there's no rest there. Now that we're familiar with the notes, let's have a look at the other text on the page. We've got curved lines in every one of our bars. I pretty much think that that's indicating we need to play legato. I would say that the first phrase is the entire first and second bar. It goes to here, da, 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 da. It's not really finished, da, 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 da. And then the left hand plays that. So I think those 2 bars make up one phrase. So those curved lines are really more legato slurs than indicating where our phrase is. Our phrase is actually over the first 2 bars and then over bar 3 and bar 4. So if we have a look at the first little phrase, those first 2 bars, we've got an F, and then the second time we play it as a little echo and a P. Let's do that together. F first and then P. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now soft. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's have a look at what's going on in the left hand. We're starting off with that good old C chord and holding that for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're changing to a G7 chord. We're moving our little pinky down to the B, putting our index finger on the F and keeping our thumb on the G. 1 and 2 and back to the C chord for the 3 and then hitting the G for the 4 and. I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Let's have a look at what comes next. C chord again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite as complicated. Let's do the left hand together for all the first 4 bars. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Let's look at what comes next. We've got a bit of alternating playing. So in the 5th bar, our left hand is playing starting on C, all quavers. So we'll count the half beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So going up a nice little run from the C to the G. I'll play that again. C first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You have a turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Good. Let's have a look at what's happening in the right hand. We're starting on G with our little finger and looks like we've got a little run coming down to middle C. I'll go first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You have a turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Good. Let's do that little passage together. Left hand and then right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and good. Well, now we've got got that sorted out, we've got some dynamic markings in there. We've got a gradually louder as we go to our thumb in the left hand, and then a gradually softer as we come down in our right hand. Let's put those in. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and crescendo, da-da, diminuendo. Good. Have a pause and have a play of the first 2 lines of music with your left and your right hands. Let's have a look at playing those first 2 lines hands together. I'll go first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 or 1 and 2 and crescendo. Good, let's play it together. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Soft. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Excellent. Have a pause and have a play of the first 2 lines, hands together. Let's have a look at what comes next. Again, we'll have a look at 2 lines so that we don't interrupt our phrasing. We've got some alternating playing happening straight away, starting with our right hand. Let's have a look and see what's going on. We've got some G notes with our little finger. 1 and 2 and then our left hand takes over with its G notes on finger 1. 3 and 4 and, I'll do that again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then it looks like, and we might play this together as well, both hands are playing the same notes. They're playing G first on beat 1, then they're playing Fs, and then they're playing Es, and then they're playing Ds on beats 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now interestingly, those last 4 bars have no curved lines, so we could play them detached if we want to, and depending on the sound and the feel that we want, I might decide to do that in my own interpretation. What you decide for your interpretation will be completely different. I'll let you listen to what it sounds like if I play that little middle section with the right and left hand alternating patterns legato. It will sound like this. And then off we go again. If you decide to choose to play it detached, it will sound more like this. And then off we go. So the decisions that you make on your interpretation are entirely your own. So you can play that legato or connected or detached if you want to, or a combination of the two, depending on the interpretation that you want to create. Let's play that little part at the beginning of line 3 together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I've decided to play mine detached. Interestingly, when you look at what comes next, it's all the same as what we have played before, which is rather lovely. I'll do it together straight away. And there you have it. If you have a look at the piece as a whole, again you can see we've got a tune that's got 3 distinct parts. we've got our first little legato section, then we've got our little alternating section, and then we've got our little repeat of the first part. So again, you could say that this little piece is in ternary form, or a musical form that has 3 parts: an A section, a B section, and then returns to the A section. And that's pretty much it, really. So I think it'd be a good time to have a pause and have a play of the piece as a whole, trying to pop in the dynamics, making sure you're creating the interpretation that you want with legato and maybe some detached in there as well. Now would be a good time to have a pause and have a play of some of the music from previous lessons to keep them nice and fresh. Always handy to be able to pull out something if someone asks you to play for them. That's it for this lesson. Make sure you feel completely comfortable with the skills that we've looked at today before moving on to the next lesson. I'll see you next time when we're going to be looking at intervals in more detail.